Working Couple. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Chris.
And did you know that they use glass when they are painting the streets painting the lines on the streets? And that's what makes the lines reflective?
No.
Yeah, so it's like a glass. I don't know if it's glass shards or powder. I think it's like a powder, like a bag of like ground up glass. And so when they're painting the lines and everything, they put the glass in that, and that's what actually reflects our headlights.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Is that actually true? Do we need to fact check it?
No, it is true. So
Okay.
we were actually at Karen's bachelorette party, and they were repainting all the lines in the neighborhood. And so when we were sitting there at brunch, we like saw them painting the lines. I was like, "What is that bag?" So I looked it up, and it's glass.
Interesting. I would have never knew.
I thought it was very interesting, and it's one of those things like I never would have like thought about it unless I saw the like whole contraption they were using. But yeah.
Nice. So if you didn't notice, Jamie said good morning, which means that we are recording this in the morning.
Yes, we woke up. Chris went and got some yum yums. And
Yum yums.
we're not doing the ASMR thing today. Not today. We have not had enough requests for ASMR. Even if we do, I don't know if we'll ever do it. It freaks me out.
Yeah, it is really weird.
Oh, that makes me so.
I know. Yeah, oh man, I remember when we were watching. I was listening to Ear Biscuits, which is Rhett and Link's podcast, and was it Ear Biscuits? No, it was Two Bears.
It was Two Bears, One Cave.
Yeah, it was Two Bears, and Bert was listening to the girl doing ASMR,
and she like sent him a specific like good morning thing.
Oh man, does that annoy me?
It's
that was
so
just like
gross.
Yeah, I could never listen to that. It was just like, it was just so cringy to me. I don't know.
That's all I have to say. That's how I feel about it.
Anyway, this might be something that we do every once in a while, but this is more of just like a coffee talk where we don't really have a topic to talk about, and we're just gonna kind of talk about what we did maybe over the last week, and then if that goes into different conversations or wherever it goes, we'll just go with the flow.
Yeah, we'll just roll with it.
And worst case scenario, if we really get to the point where we don't have anything to talk about, Jamie has these like conversation cards, and we'll just utilize one or more of those to figure out what to talk about.
Yes.
But before we start, what you drinking over there?
I am drinking a hot latte from Yum Yums, and they have I think every season they come out with a different flavor. So they had like apple pie and pumpkin. So I feel like those are pretty typical fall flavors, but they had a loaded s'more. And so that's what I got today because I love s'mores.
Nice. And what do you think about it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The yawns are acceptable in this episode because it's a morning episode, but let's get the waking up going.
I'm working
on
it.
COVID.
I don't like you anymore.
For some reason, I'm super energized. I'm like
That's
ready to go.
because you had to get up and go out to Yum Yums.
Yeah.
I literally am still in my PJs. I only had to take Bubba out to Tinkle, and then I sat back down.
Yeah. So I am drinking a ridiculously large iced coffee with some vanilla flavoring in it.
That's pretty on brand for you, though.
It's pretty much what I drink every day, but the sizing of this is a little large. I forget how big it is, but it's definitely bigger than a 32 ounce. It's like a 40 ounce, maybe?
I think that's a 30 ounce.
32?
32, maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's a... Are you getting messages from Supriya?
No, I'm just looking up. Oh, it doesn't tell me what my order was. I wanted to see how big it was. But anyway, it's a larger iced coffee than I typically drink, though I'll probably only have this and be satisfied for the day.
Yeah. You won't have to go back for seconds.
Nope. And then along with our coffees,
we had breakfast sandwiches.
We did have breakfast sandwiches, and we have 2 donuts with us.
Yes. They're just the iced with sprinkles. But I always get the chocolate ice with sprinkles, and they got red and white sprinkles for the fills.
Yeah, go Phils. I haven't been watching the Phillies at
Chris
all.
is not a baseball fan. Growing up, I enjoyed going to games and everything. Chris just can't. It's not enough to hold his attention.
I can go to games and have fun, but like watching it on TV just seems kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basketball is the worst though. Like I will not
Nope.
watch basketball.
I disagree. Soccer.
Oh, see, I much rather watch soccer.
Basketball, it's at least more back and forth.
I understand why you would say soccer's boring because it is a slower game. But I don't know, like I feel like I played so much FIFA, like, and also played soccer as a kid.
Well, you also have, I feel like with soccer, you have so many of the players that just like they accidentally bump into someone and then they play it up.
Oh, I know. Like
I'm tired of all the stoppage time. Like
all the theatrical
like,
BS.
Like just
stupid.
man up and keep playing. Come on.
Yeah. But I don't like that, like the NBA. I mean, pretty much everybody breaks the rules or like around traveling and stuff, and they just don't do anything about it.
It's more lenient with traveling.
I don't know. It's just like I'd rather watch something else.
But
anyway.
I don't know. I just can't get behind soccer. Even, and I feel bad, but like even with the World Cup, like I just cannot do it. I mean, hell, even when I played soccer, I was the goalie. Like I didn't do any of the running.
That's pretty that's like sounds typical for you because you hate running. So yeah, of course you would be the one position where they just stand in goal.
Well, I was the tallest one.
Yeah.
And so it was...
You probably played center if you played basketball.
Yeah,
too.
how'd you know?
Yeah.
That one sucked because that was the most running. Like, yes, I know, like, point guards are small and, like, fast, but they're always at the top of the key. I always had to run baseline to baseline, and it sucked.
Yeah, I was center as well because I was the tall kid. So...
Where was it? So when we played basketball, I just had a flashback because we always had to do sprints and I hated them. And it was either 1755 or we had to do baseline to baseline, like suicides. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called.
That's what they're called.
That definitely would not fly in today's world.
I don't know what 1755s are.
1755. So we would start on a sideline and you'd go sideline to sideline. And you'd have to try and get 17 touches in 55 seconds.
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So I had the same coach for basketball and soccer from maybe 2nd or 3rd grade up through 8th grade. Maybe 4th grade. I don't know when we all started. It was Coach Dave. And everyone who played basketball also played on our soccer team. And we just had some people that played soccer, not basketball. But for soccer, we always had to do Indian runs, which I hated. Do you ever have to do those?
Is that like the crisscross running? No. I don't know what Indian runs are then.
What is crisscross running?
Like where you're running sideways, but you're like going like, I don't know how to.
Like a grapevine? Or karaoke?
Oh my God. I don't know. Like... Yeah, like that.
With your feet?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I don't know what Indian running is.
Okay, I was going to get there, but when you said crisscross running, that sounded horrible. Like, I thought you were, like, weaving in between people, like it was agility.
No, it's crisscross applesauce and running on my knees.
Running on your knees? Who are you?
I don't know.
Okay, well...
I just don't know it's good, though.
Chris, when for anyone who can't see the hand motions that I'm doing and talking about the crisscross running, it's like the karaoke or the grapevine where you're running sideways and you step with your lead foot and then your follow foot goes either in front of or behind your lead foot and you switch off every time. I always knew that as karaoke or grapevine.
And I didn't remember the name, so I just said crisscross running.
But no, Indian runs is when you all like jog like really slowly in a line, and then whoever's at the back
Has to run up
has
to
to
the front.
sprint to the front. Hated that. I hated even more when they made us do it like with dribbling with the soccer ball, because I had no like eye foot coordination because I was a goalie. I used my hands.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to learn how to dribble? Okay.
Oh
It
man,
was
I
bad.
feel like all of my childhood coaches let me down. Like
Oh.
you talk about all these, different types of
So
exercises you did, and I don't think I did any
we
of
were
them.
we were pretty serious. We played AAU. I think we played AAU. Or like we played AAU teams for basketball, and I think it was BSL, Beltway Soccer League, maybe. My mom's gonna text me and be like, "Nope, that was wrong," but it was like a travel soccer team. Like we played up through 8th grade, but I think starting in like 6th grade, maybe. I think it was in 6th grade we stopped being associated with our school and started like doing our own like travel thing.
I never played travel soccer. I played select, which is like one probably level over recreational, and then it was like the travel people that were really good and had, you know, a big heart for soccer. But I think I played select.
No, we played travel, and then I remember like I played so many like random like I just get like random flashbacks from like playing soccer. Like being a goalie, I remember there was one time this girl had a breakaway down the field, and I went out to meet her to cut off the angle. And as I'm like literally 3 feet from her foot diving for the ball, she like rears back and kicks it as hard as she can and like knocks me out.
You take it to the face?
Took it to the face.
Woo!
They literally had to pull me out and put a different goalie in to make sure I was like okay.
That reminds me of I don't know if you saw the video on like Instagram Reels or whatever of the volleyball player that just keeps getting hit in the face. Yeah.
I love that. Every time that comes up. I've also taken volleyballs to the face.
And then like the team like picks him
Picks
up
him
even though
up
he's
to
passed
block.
out.
I love that video. Every time it comes around, I will always rewatch
I'm sure
it.
you spiked it in a few people's faces too.
I've broken fingers.
Was that like your position? You were a hitter?
I was in everything.
Okay.
So I
Just had to be something special, didn't it?
listen, okay? I wasn't special any other time, okay? Let me be special. No, I was for the most part, I was hitter when I was in front row, and I would not block, wow. I would set from the back row. And so we would run what's called a 6-2, which means every position on the court will hit, and you have two setters because they will always come from the back row. So when your one setter gets to the front, your second setter, your number 2, will be in the back, and they'll set. So we always ran a 6-2. In high school and club, it was always Kristen. Steves was always my setter, and I was always her setter. We were both outsides, which is very uncommon for hitters and setters. So if you're a setter, I know you're getting a full volleyball lesson, and it's not what you expected this morning, and you're just going to deal with it. So most times when you have a 6-2, your setter, when they are in the front row, they're hitting opposite or weak side, which essentially means the ball is coming across your body. So it's like kind of weird timing. But that's usually where your setter will be, and that's where they will hit from. However, Kristen and I were also very good hitters, and so my dad had to adjust our rotation so that way we could both be outside hitters as well as setters. So it just kind of made it a little more difficult, but it was also more helpful because we could put bigger people on the opposite side, which means we had bigger blocks against their big hitters. So we did that. In college, I ran.
Do you have any stories of just pounding one into somebody's face?
So.
Didn't you break somebody's fingers?
Yeah. Yeah, I literally just said that, but that was college. Hitting someone in the face was high school. So for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm very competitive. And when I know I can be good at things and I'm just having an off day, I get very, very mad. I don't know if you want to add to that or not. I mean, you've seen me play golf and disc golf.
I want to be able to sleep in the bed tonight, so I'm not going to comment. But I've heard of this situation before, though.
I get very annoyed and very frustrated because I know I can do better, and for some reason my brain is not telling the right signals to my body, or my body's not executing it, so my timing's off, or I'm not leading with my elbow, or whatever it is. And so I get really mad, and we were doing these 2-minute drills again, which I hated. Now, mind you, these were
Wait, the person's fingers you broke were on your team?
No, that was in a college game.
Oh.
The girl I hit in the face was on my team.
Oh, okay. Still, friendly fire.
Listen, okay, so here's the thing. So I was actually subbing on a different team that was going to nationals in Florida, and they asked me and Kristen to go with them because their setter couldn't go and their middle couldn't go. So Kristen was going to set for them and I was their middle. I was like, okay, sounds good. So we were doing these 2-minute drills, which is essentially they put a chair back around the 10-foot line. And so what you do is from the chair, you do your approach, you hit, and you run around the chair and you go right back. But it's only you and maybe one other hitter. So you are just going. It's like running the whole freaking time, which really sucks. In case you couldn't tell, I don't like running. And hi, Bubba. Do you want to come up? But we are like running, and I'm doing all the ones, which are like just right above the tape. It's literally you do your approach and go, and the setter's job is to put it right in your hand. And I just keep hitting it into the net, or I'm hitting it long, and I'm getting so frustrated, and I'm like, why isn't this working? Now, while you're hitting, everyone else on the team is on the other side of the court chasing after the balls you're hitting and everything, so they make sure they don't go under your feet, and they put them right back in the basket so that way the coach isn't running out of balls as you're hitting. And this one girl on my team, I can't say we didn't get along, but she was just like, she's not one of the girls that I would like associate myself with.
So you decided to hit her in the face?
No, but it was just one of those things. Well, I didn't realize that she went to school with my cousin, and she was bullying my cousin a lot. What
does this have to do with the face hit?
Listen, okay?
I'm so confused.
I'm like, because I don't feel bad about it. That's why.
Oh, you don't feel bad about it?
I don't feel bad about hitting her in the face.
Did she break a nose?
She did not break a nose, but she passed out. So I'm like I get really mad, and I go up and I slam one. And it was like probably one of the best hits I've ever had in my life.
Was it a kill? Was it a kill?
It may have been if we were actually playing a game.
Yeah.
But I hit, and it hits her in the face, and that like straight up stops the drill. Like, cause it like knocks her down, and she's like, "No, I'm fine. Like, I just need to go to the bathroom. Like, it was like she was still in shock or whatever from getting like hit in the face, and then she goes to the bathroom, and she's in there for a little bit, and I think it was I can't remember if it was my coach or one of the other players like went in, and she had passed out in the bathroom.
Holy crap!
And they had to like be like, okay, you're done for practice and everything. And
so let's see if I can summarize this story. So you got asked to be a sub on this team because some of their players couldn't make it. You show up to their practice, get mad because your timing's off, smack the ball as hard as you can, and it just destroys this girl's face. So bad that she probably has a concussion because she asked to go to the bathroom and passes out. But it's all okay, right?
It's not. I'm not saying
but
it's
we're
okay.
still good. Right? We're still good. Because this girl was a bitch making fun of your cousin. And that's the summary of Jamie's story of smacking a girl in the face with a volleyball.
I'm not saying it's okay. That's the thing. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that I don't feel bad about it as I would if I hit someone else in the face that was like a regular teammate.
That should be an advertisement for Red and Link's board game or whatever.
So yeah, that was the time I hit a girl in the face. I've definitely taken multiple, like, to the head. I know there was one time we were doing like a big hitting drill, and it was with my actual team. And one of the girls, I like grabbed the ball, like I grabbed the ball, I was bringing it back, and as I turned, I got nailed in the side of the head, like right on my ear, and it was just straight ringing for the next like 10-15 minutes. But then when I was in college, I was hitting and I went up. It was in a game. I think it was like game 3 or 4 of a match. And I went up and I swung and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go line. So I turned my shoulders and I hit line, and it bounces off this girl's hand, and we keep playing because she was blocking. But she like kept standing off to the side. She wasn't coming back into the game. Well, once the play ended, they had to call a timeout because her finger was not where it should be.
Oof.
Because her outside hand, the pinky, I mean, it saved the play. Like, it bounced the ball up so they could keep going, but she was out of commission.
I don't really have any sports stories of hurting people. You know, I was a pitcher.
I was gonna say, I want you to remember that I've also hurt myself plenty of times playing sports. So it's not like I'm out for blood. Like, I've just like going and chasing a ball after we hit. I went to go grab one, and one of the dads was like, "No, don't worry, I'll get it. Like, go back in line and keep hitting." So I went to turn. I tore 2 ligaments in my ankle, just from walking. That was my very.
That is such a typical Jamie story. I was walking and I took a turn and tore 2 ligaments in my ankle.
This
is why I don't walk.
This is why I make Chris carry me everywhere.
Yeah.
And then there was one. What was it? NEQs, ECCs. What was it? I think it was the NEQs because it was over Easter weekend. Northeast qualifiers. I was sitting down the line, going to play for a ball, and it came down. They hit down line. I was moving out of the way because I thought it was going out, and in the process, my knee, which is like this, buckled out and back in.
Oof.
So my right kneecap is offline, like not centered the way it's supposed to be. But that was like a strained MCL, not LCL, I think ACL too. And I had to go and get like a, what's it called? MRI to make sure I didn't tear my meniscus.
Oh, that just reminds me of Jason and his whole knee debacle when we went on a ski trip. Jason and I went on the Drexel ski trip, and that was it Stratton? Man, it's like, it would be cool to phone Jason in to talk about this.
You probably could if he's awake.
Yeah, I don't like to just call people without letting them know that we were going to call them. But, you know what? Jason is the one who was just like, I like when you guys go off on tangents and whatever. So, oh no, but the way I was calling people was through Google Voice. And now that my number is switched onto my phone, now I can't do that.
You can't call people from the, like, a FaceTime audio or whatever?
Let me see.
Because you have an Apple computer. Sorry if you hear all the, like, noises. I'm in the process of eating my chocolate sprinkles donut. All right.
Just typical.
Hey.
Hold on. We're going to see if we can get Jason in here.
I think it'll be good. We were going to have him on anyway. And we can get his take on what happened. Oh, do you not have the contacts synced over?
No.
I thought Apple products were all like...
I know. I don't have this fully set up, this computer, because it's a special case. But I don't think I'm going to be able to call him. I'm going to have to get a new Google Voice number so that I can still call people for this podcast.
Like, you can't... Is it not, like, set up on, like, FaceTime or whatever? Or... Because this is my thought. If you're able to call from the... What's it called? If you're able to call from, like, FaceTime, which you should be... You can do FaceTime on the computer, right? So if you can do FaceTime on Apple, it should work. I don't know. I'm not the software engineer.
We are going to get this working.
We're very very dedicated. I'm trying to think of what other injuries we had. I broke my arm, but that was not sports related. That was just me being an idiot. Oh, I did. I'm pretty sure I broke my ankle when I was in like first grade.
All right, we're going to try this. We'll see. Uh-oh.
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 Uh-oh. Hi, Bubba.
Oh.
Holy cow, that just
That is
blew out
loud.
my eardrums.
I don't know if I can change the volume of that.
Sorry, guys, if that destroys your eardrums. That sounded more. You can really hear the bass in that. Wow, Jason.
Oh, man.
Voicemail.
It's okay. It was worth the attempt. But Jason, when you listen to this, just realize that you missed the opportunity.
Yes, the one and only chance. Until next coffee talk.
Yep. Until next coffee talk.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, so I went on this Drexel ski trip with Jason. We went to Stratton Mountain in Vermont. And this was, I think, our first ski trip that we took with Drexel. And I believe it was the first day that we went out on the mountain. Now, remember, my memory is terrible, so I'm trying my hardest here.
Jason, if you hear this and it's wrong, call us.
I don't...
Set us straight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like the first day, because... What was that?
Nothing.
You kicking things? What are you doing? Stop. Oh, man, what am I going to do with this woman?
Love me and give me yum-yums.
Yeah. Sorry if you could hear any of that, but Jamie was just kicking the boom arm for her mic, and then she's now playing with lava. Anyway, we were on this Drexel ski trip, Stratton, Vermont. It was a super cool mountain, and we were going down a hill, or down the mountain. And I feel like this was like midday. Like, we did get some runs in, and Jason carved one way, and I guess he hit a patch of powder or some weird something weird happened. He's a pretty advanced skier, so it was surprising, but I just saw him wipe out and a huge blast of powder shoot up into the air, and I was like, oh crap, Jason fell. So I came up to him, and I just instantly knew by like his face and that something was wrong. He was like, it wasn't like he was like screaming in pain or anything, but he just knew something was wrong. And when he told me to call ski patrol, I was like, oh damn, like this is pretty serious. So that was the first time I ever had to call ski patrol on a mountain, which I'm glad that my phone had reception and stuff.
I was going to ask, like, how do you call ski patrol if you, like, do you, like, have to flag someone down if you don't have a phone?
I guess, yeah. I always have a phone on me. I can't say that I always have reception on the mountain, though. So I'm sure there are cases where you just can't get a hold of the ski patrol office or whatever. But, there's people going down the mountain all the time. So surely somebody will stop if you wave them down. Or, there are mountain employees that also ride down the mountain pretty often.
I
as
was going to
well.
ask if they had ones that would just like come down the mountain just to, you know, make sure everything's okay. There's not like a random person lying there.
Yeah, so another way you could do it is you could flag somebody who's coming down and tell them to go down the mountain and get somebody, and then they'll go and, it's going to take a little while, though. It probably took, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes for somebody to show up once we called ski patrol, because it's a huge mountain. So yeah, that was pretty serious. We called ski patrol, which it was on the pass. On my pass had the phone number for ski patrol, because like when I go to a mountain, I don't take the number and put it in my phone or anything.
That was my next question. If there was like a general number or if it's just like...
No, you have to know the number, and it just, happens to be on the pass somewhere usually.
Okay. I was going to say, because that would be very inconvenient if you had a phone but you didn't know the ski patrol number.
Yeah, so, that makes me think about when, like Jason and JT get those like passes for multiple mountains. It probably doesn't have the ski patrol number for each mountain on it. So it's probably a pro tip to, add that number to your phone before you go on the mountain. Anyway, ski patrol got there. They put them all in the sled. Like they like braced up his leg, put him on a stretcher probably, and then put that stretcher on a sled and sledded him all the way down.
When you say sledded him all the way down, I'm literally picturing Jason laying on a toboggan and them just being push.
Yeah, no,
and just letting him go down. Like
it's like super controlled. Like they have these like ropes that like there's a skier in the front, a skier in the back, and they have it pretty under control. But it's not like a smooth ride. Like there's some bumps and stuff that you got to deal with.
It's gotta hurt.
I'm sure it's not fun. So then I dropped Jason off at like or they bring him to the medical center at the mountain, and then like I just had to go off and do my own thing because
were you skiing or snowboarding?
I was snowboarding.
Okay.
But I have to take advantage of the mountain. We're like there's no point in me just sitting in the waiting room waiting to hear what happened. So I went back out with a few people and I snowboarded for the rest of the day, which there were some super fun trails that I got to hit.
Sorry, Jace.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. But then at the end of the day, Jason had his diagnosis. Pretty much his whole trip was ruined. And it was awkward because we had to sleep in the same bed too. It was like a double that we slept in. And so he could only sleep on his back. So I felt bad, but he probably had a terrible sleeping situation for the rest of the trip too. But I had to carry him because they like tied up his leg and like everything. But I had to carry him from the hospital thing to the truck. Somebody brought a truck around to get him back to their cabin. And then I had to carry him from the truck into the cabin. Why did I have to carry him? I forget. Maybe they didn't give him crutches.
I'm not asking why you had to carry him. I'm asking how did you carry him? Because if his leg is braced out straight, which is I'm assuming they splinted it so it's straight. Did they splint it so it's straight?
I don't know. I remember carrying him, though. This is why we need him on the phone.
But, was it a piggyback? Was it, like, a newly married couple, like, walking through the threshold? Did you fireman carry him? Like...
I'm pretty sure I carried him in my arms, as if he was my lover,
I always knew there was another woman.
Yeah. I really wish we could get him on the phone. And I just texted him because he would know best because my memory.
And he was also there, which is helpful.
And that day is probably like just burned into his mind because
I'm sure.
Like anytime you have like a trauma like that, you don't forget. You don't forget it.
No, unless you go through so many of them, then you're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, I remember with my knee, because we were in the Baltimore Convention Center, I remember with my ankle. I even remember like breaking my ankle. I swear I broke my ankle in like first grade. Because we were at the volleyball warehouse, the old volleyball warehouse.
Pause. You said, I swear I broke my ankle. So does that mean it's an unofficial diagnosis?
It's an unofficial diagnosis. And what happened, so my mom was playing volleyball there, and she took me and my brothers with, and we just had a babysitter. I was at the old volleyball house, and they had ramps and different things, and so we would like run up the ramp and jump off and, you know, do what like kids do. And I was in first grade, and holy cow, I jumped and I landed wrong, and it was I still remember the searing burn like in my ankle. And my dad was coaching at Spalding at the time, and so instead of like going to a doc, he's like, first let's go to TJ, see what TJ says, who is the athletic trainer. He's like, let's see what TJ says. If TJ says like we should like do extra stuff, we'll definitely go. But I mean, I was in first grade, you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying it's just more difficult to properly express what you're feeling when you're so young. And so
I feel like my mom did not hesitate to take me to the ER. I was like an ER baby. I would go all the time.
No, we'd always go to TJ first. But for a good chunk of our childhood, it wasn't like illness. Like we didn't get blood poisoning. We just it was a lot of just like us being stupid kind of stuff. Which is why we always ended up going to TJ, because it was a sprained ankle or like a dislocated knee or
Oh man, are we transitioning to injuries? Because my mom would be able to talk about my injuries forever.
Yeah, that's why I was like, we didn't have blood poisoning growing up. Like
Oh man, I would love to get her to talk about when I broke my arm as a kid, because
on Father's Day? Was it Father's Day? When you went over to the neighbor?
Yeah, I don't know what holiday it was. I always hurt myself on holidays, and
That is true.
I'm scared of that to this day. Where, like, if it's a holiday, I will not ride my motorcycle over to the party. I will not do anything.
I was gonna say, you have what was it, Labor Day or Memorial Day or whatever? Like Mike gave you gloves, and you guys went riding that whatever that holiday was.
Yeah, but that was because I was being stupid.
But still, it was on a holiday.
I just always hurt myself on a holiday, so I try and be as safe as possible on holidays now. I'm so tired of getting hurt from when I was a kid. Let's see here.
You calling your mom?
Maybe.
Okay, well, while he's doing that, but we went to TJ, and TJ was like, now mind you, I was a very, very shy child. Like, I did not like saying anything or talking to anyone. I had a lot of trouble like making friends. And so when TJ was there, he was like feeling my ankle. He's like, does this hurt? Does this hurt? And he literally got up to like maybe a couple inches above my ankle, and he's like, does this hurt? And I still had like shooting, searing pain in my foot and ankle. But I was like, no, it doesn't hurt. And he's like, okay, it's just a mild sprain. Like, wrap it up in an ace bandage. So I really think I like messed up my ankle, but I was too shy to actually say anything. So I think that's what happened with my ankle in first grade. So it's not an official diagnosis, but it is definitely worse than just a mild sprain.
Yeah.
Because it hurt more than when I've like messed up my ankles more recently.
I feel so bad for my mom. I was in the ER so many times. I broke my arm, like, and that was like a clean break of my humerus, right? That's my humerus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so I always thought that when you broke your arm, it was like your forearm.
No.
You broke your
Yeah. So that was like a full 90 cast that I had.
Now, did it go up your arm, or did it like include your shoulder where you couldn't like pick your arm up or something, or was it in a sling?
It was in a sling.
Okay.
And I think it stopped like 3/4 of the way up my
like
humerus.
Like almost at your armpit, but not quite there.
Yeah, and that was like the worst injury. And oh man, I feel so bad for my mom, because I literally yelled to my mom before I jumped off of like I was, oh man,
Oh my
Hold on,
god.
give me 1 second here. I'm gonna literally call my mom and see if she could talk about this right now, because I'm sure her memory of it is burned into her head.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. I was gonna say I could always call my dad because
It's
my
like,
dad
how?
has plenty of injuries. Literally, my dad would go into the hospital growing up, and the nurses would look at him and be like, "What'd you do now, Scott?"
Yo, is mom there? Is mom there? Oh,
Are you gonna put it
well,
on
because me and
speaker?
Jamie are recording right now, and we're talking about getting injured as kids, and I feel like this is a great topic for mom to talk about here.
She could weigh in.
Let's take a trip down memory lane.
She loves doing that. Yeah, I know. My dad always had a bunch of injuries. I know Zach had a concussion from basketball. I don't know about Jake. I feel like Jake never had any major injuries.
Probably not unless they were sports related.
But I know Zach always roughhoused though. Like so he's chipped a couple teeth.
Hey, I was just calling to see if you want to talk or reminisce about some childhood injuries of mine. So if you want, I can call you back so that it goes through the recording. You know, we were just talking about getting hurt as children, and I think that your memory probably of me jumping from that tree or from that playground set. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So okay, just hold your phone for a second. I'm gonna call you back.
Hold the phone. Yeah. I wonder if you can hear that on the podcast.
Oh no, it's pretty raw. Like we don't.
Your poor mother. She's
It's okay.
literally gonna
It'll
hear
work
this.
out. So I'll give you like 5 minutes. Oh no, I can go through some of my injuries, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not recording you right now, but
Oh my gosh.
I can go. I'll go through some injuries, and then you could talk about your memory of those injuries. Okay, I'll call you back in a little bit. Okay, so I will call you back in a little bit. It's gonna come from a different number, but just the next phone number that calls you, it's gonna be me. All right, talk to you soon.
God. She's literally gonna need a Xanax for
Ja-
this.
Jamie did get hurt as a child, but yeah, okay, we'll talk about it.
Oh my gosh. She's definitely gonna need a Xanax. She's gonna hear this and be like, what?
Mom, I will bring all this up.
She needs to prepare. She's a planner, okay? She needs to prepare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember? Okay. Oh, I'll talk about it. Okay. We're actually recording. We're actually recording right now, and like they can't hear you, but they can hear me talking to you. So I will call you back in a little bit. I remember all of my injuries pretty well, but I think from a parent view, it would be good to hear about it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. All right. Bye. Oh man. So mom, when you're listening to this one back again, you
Sorry.
can reminisce about how your son called you when you were trying to get dressed out of the shower and told you to relive a bunch of horrible memories that live in your head, probably.
Living there rent free. So for some reason I want to say Zach broke his arm playing basketball, but I don't remember him ever in a cast. When I broke my arm, I had a waterproof cast, which I thought was really cool.
You can fracture an arm though and not have a cast.
But
Like you could have a brace or something.
I don't remember him ever having anything on his arm. That's the thing. I feel like he did though, because he got He was playing basketball and he went up for a layup, and this guy like hit him like a freaking freight train and like bounced him off the wall underneath the basket.
Mm-hmm.
But that wall didn't have any cushion on it. So it was right into a cement wall.
Hmm.
And I remember like I wasn't there. My mom said that like he was super dazed and everything. He had a concussion, but she could tell something was wrong. And I want to say he broke his arm, but for some reason I cannot remember him with like a cast or anything. I don't know. I'll have to call my mom next. Next coffee talk.
Next coffee talk. All right, we're gonna call my mom.
Oh my gosh.
And see how this goes.
Trisha,
Now,
I'm sorry.
let's be warned. She does scream into her phone often, so who knows how loud it's going to be in our ears.
Oh
I'll
my
try and
gosh.
edit it down when we, like when I edit the whole podcast, but it might blast through our ears, so
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
it's okay. We'll figure it out. Mom, if you're listening. Jesus Christ almighty.
I feel like that's a lot louder than it used to be. Like when we called Barry the other episode.
I don't remember what it sounded like when we called Barry.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
You are on Diaries of a Working Couple.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, we're talking right now about when we were getting hurt as a child. And, I was trying to remember some specific details about these incidents. And I thought, who better to call than you, because you had to live through all these situations, and that sound pretty terrible from a parent's point of view.
Yes, and you're about to make me relive it.
Isn't he the best?
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
And there were many.
So I think the first notable one was probably my arm, which...
what holiday was that for? Because didn't you have everyone over?
I think I'm pretty sure that was either Mother's Day or Father's Day. I think it was Father's Day.
But Dad was working?
Yeah. Well,
Because Dad was at work when it happened.
Right, because wasn't it Pop Up that
I
had to-
know, but it was towards the end, so he may have went off to work. Dad wasn't around a lot. He was on second shift when you had all these accidents. So I'm guessing, I'm not sure what holiday, but for some reason I recall Father's Day. We were all sitting out on the porch when you told me you were going to go in and take a nap. And you snuck out the back door.
That was one hell of a nap.
Yeah.
And
So
went over to your neighbor's house, yes.
yeah, so I went over to the neighbor's house, and I was on their Jungle Gym set, and didn't you say that I yelled something to you?
Yes, I came out the door I went in. We were all out on the porch. It was, I guess, a beautiful day. And so I came in to look for you, to check on you, because I try not to ever leave you alone because you were always
Because this happens.
getting into something. Yeah, getting into something. So anyway, I went out the door, and I could see like the top of the apparatus, and I could see that you were up high, and I could see, from your shoulders up, and you were saying, "Look, Mom," and then you proceeded to jump off the Jungle Gym, and I could not see the ground. It was, what is the 6-foot fence or something, hon, dividing our neighbor and ourselves. So I could not see what had happened, but I heard a whimper, a cry. And so I ran around real quickly. I guess like your friend probably reacted, and then I heard, the neighbor was having a party as well out in their backyard. So I heard like people screaming, and I ran so fast around the entrance to their backyard, and the memory is embedded in my mind. I mean, you destroyed your arm.
Yeah, and so it was a humerus break, right? It was the upper part of my arm broke.
Yeah, and apparently that is, you were, gosh, I want to say around 6 maybe. And they say that part of the arm isn't fully formed at that age, and that it's something that does, that can break in very young children. But my whole world flashed in front of me when I saw you. And I remember the neighbor just picking you up and handing you to me.
Over the fence.
No, not over the fence. I went into the backyard. Yeah, not over the fence.
Over the 6 foot tall fence.
Oh,
just
no.
kind of tossed
Yeah,
them.
So the way there's also there was a shorter fence further down. But anyway.
Oh, I'm literally just picturing the neighboring, like picking you up and tossing you over the fence, and your mom like, I got him.
No, I didn't. It was not over the fence. No, I got into the backyard.
I still remember being in the car though, because my arm was so sensitive. Like any bump just felt like somebody was stabbing me.
And the thing is, the way you were handed to me, I did not move from the point of getting you in the car. Like I could not move you to adjust my back or anything. I held you exactly the way you were handed to me because, I knew you were in so much pain.
It was terrible.
And my mom and papa, I forget who, let me just say that your grandparents, on your mom's side, they were always there at all these incidences. And they probably died 1,000 deaths too.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. If it weren't for Mom and Papa being there to be like, oh no, this is what happened, your mom probably would have had social services called on her because you got into so many messes, and it was always when your dad was at work.
And I mean, I really kept an eye on them too. I mean, it can happen. Like it can happen. You'll learn this as parents. It can happen, so quickly that you turn your attention, especially when they're small. And like I said, he snuck out the back door. I had no idea he was even over there.
Yeah.
So anyway, off to the hospital. I think my father drove me, and I was, it was so upsetting.
See, this is
and I didn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is what scares me about having kids, because when you leave, like, Chris alone, he goes and does stuff like that. When my mom would leave us alone, I would just give my brother Sharpies and let him draw on the wall. Very different.
See, that is so funny because my kids did not draw on the wall, but they did get into accidents.
But so this is a little off topic, but didn't I one time squirt juice all over a room?
Yes, I went up to take a quick shower, and I left my 2 little boys sitting on the couch, and of course they love those Capri Sun juices in the pouches. And when I came downstairs, apparently Chris thought it was really cool to like squirt them on top of the ceiling. And so there were no markers involved, but needless to say, I was up there in my towel on my head, towel on my body, trying to remove the red stains from the hallway ceiling.
Yeah, with markers, you don't really get that sealing action.
No.
Oh man, all this stuff just scares me for being a parent. But man,
all right, what else we got in Chris's
for injury list? Yeah, so the arm was pretty serious. What about Tabby biting me behind the ear?
Yeah, that was so scary. I think you were only like 4 years old, and I think you tried to get into sliding glass door along with Tabby at the same time. Tabby was our first dog. I don't know actually what happened because I ran upstairs to put some clothes away, and I heard a scream, and I ran downstairs, and Tabby had bitten Chris behind the ear. And I can only assume that they were both trying to get through the screen door or the sliding glass door into the kitchen. I'm not sure what happened. I wasn't here. I was upstairs.
Who was watching me?
Well, I was home. I just ran upstairs to put some clothes
She
away.
assumed a 4-year-old would be okay.
Yeah.
You were outside playing with your brother. And so, I mean, there was someone home. I mean, you will learn this as parents, and anybody of your listeners that are listening will appreciate this if they have children. Yeah, you can say who was watching me, but nobody watches anybody 24 hours a day. I mean, I was home. I, played with you and I taught you and, but at that point I ran upstairs for a brief moment to put clothes away. You were outside playing with your brother and probably the neighborhood friend. And I can only imagine what happened because it was a split second. And again, off to the hospital. I think I called Mom and Pop-Up. They might have been living up the corner because Pop-Up again took me to the hospital. Once again, your father wasn't home. And poor Mom had to clean up the kitchen. And I won't go any further with that.
That's typical. Man, I didn't realize that Mom and Pop-Up had to deal with a lot of this stuff too.
What kind of
Mama
dog was
and Papa-
Tabby?
Yeah.
What kind of dog was Tabby?
She was a Springer Spaniel,
Okay.
a Cocker Spaniel, I guess.
I was trying to picture it all in my head, and I was like, I don't know if we're talking like a Shih Tzu sized dog or like a German Shepherd sized dog.
She was not as big as Max, so you didn't know Max either. But Max was our second dog, but she was not as big as she was bigger than Susie. We had gotten her, we got her when we were, newly married. She was our dog first before we had children. We never had a problem with her prior to that. I have no idea if she got squeezed in the door or what happened. I can only assume.
It could have been my fault. Just, yeah, we'll never know.
Well, it's not your fault as a 4-year-old, Chris. It's something that happened. It's really nobody's fault. But we had to say goodbye to Tabby, and we made that choice. And it was a very scary situation at the hospital. We were pulled away by the police officers to explain what had happened. And that scared the hell out of me. And
that was back then.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like things are taken a lot more seriously now than they are back then.
Well, I hope things are taken seriously because, I don't know if they are or not, what you see in the news anymore, but I hope things are taken seriously when it comes to children. And I could understand their position, but to be torn away from your child when you're trying to console them in the hospital, it was quite a realization for me and time to make a decision, and we did, as hard as it was.
So who hit their head on the fireplace?
Oh, that was Barry.
I was going to ask if Barry ever got hurt or if it was all Chris.
So you know how in my parents' family room, the fireplace is, there's that
there's like a little ledge.
The ledge that's like a rock. It's like a stone ledge, kind of. Am I describing that right, Mom? What is that made out of?
Yeah, it's stone. It's stone.
Well, that's kind of dangerous for children. But like when I grew up, that was covered with like a padded leather cover that went over that. And I think that cover came from after Barry, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Barry. Actually, Barry did not hit his head on the ledge. He actually kind of slid into the bottom of the hearth, I guess. What is it? The hearth, I guess. And hit his forehead on the brick. And that was like a blood vessel. And again, Dad was not home. And I'm sure this is making me sound wonderful. But
I'm sure this happens to like every parent, though.
I'm trying to. How did he slide? Like, what was he doing? Like, was he like crawling into it. Like when I think slide, I think like sliding headfirst into like home base. And knowing how your house is set up, I'm like, how is he sliding? How does he get that much
Well,
momentum going?
the family room. Well, I don't think against brick you have to have that much momentum. But again, we lived in the family room, and of course, it wasn't set up like it is today with all this furniture. It had, a changing table, and it had toy boxes, and we just lived in this room. But I guess he was wrestling or fooling around, and he was young. He was probably only 2, and Uncle Michael happened to be with me that day. And when he got up, he was fine, and then all of a sudden, this like blood vessel started pulsating, and we both looked at each other. I remember it being a Sunday because I was making mention of people on the road when we're trying to get to the hospital. I kept saying, these must be Sunday drivers. But it was pulsating, and Michael and I just looked at each other and were like, just kind of screamed. And Michael tried to grab the keys. He couldn't find his jacket, and we rushed to the hospital. I'm holding Barry. He was about 2 years old. I'm like, Barry, what's your name? How do you count to 5? What's your name? I kept thinking, I'm going to test them to see if it's, a concussion. Or we got to the hospital. It was a blood vessel. You put ice on it, and there were no, no other side effects or damage. I mean, he was walking around the hospital talking to everybody, and so it went away with the ice, and that was Barry.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hearing is that whenever we have kids, before taking them to the hospital, we call either your mom or my mom to figure out how urgent this actually is.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not even halfway through the list yet. I mean, I'm already thinking about 3 or 4 more injuries.
Well, I know, what was it, when you guys got back from camping and your dad thought you were just like dirty?
So I went to a Boy Scout. Yeah, I was at a Boy Scout camp for, I don't know, a weekend or something. And
no, it was a week.
Or a week. I remember what happened. I remember I was climbing on a tree, and like I jumped up to grab a branch, and there was like a tiny nub sticking out of it, and it stabbed into my wrist and like cut my wrist. And I just let it go, and I didn't do any type of first aid to it at all. So when I got home, it was infected, and my mom noticed that there was a line going up my arm, like a red line going up my arm. And my mom's like, I think that's blood poisoning. And what was Dad's reaction to that? Oh, he's just dirty. I think he should take a shower.
Right. I think there was a game on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
this is making us sound like terrible parents, but
no.
Things happen. I mean, things happen beyond your control, no matter how old they are.
Especially when you have like rambunctious boys. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up going to the hospital, and I got an IV for that because that was blood poisoning.
Right. And I had it as a child, so I recognized what it was and ran him to the hospital immediately. But you should have shown your scout leader that, Chris.
Yeah, it was my fault, I was just being a
kid.
An irresponsible little kid.
Yeah, you can't blame yourself. I mean, these things happen, and I had 2 very energetic boys that did not sit in the corner and read books. Jamie.
See, that's what I'm hoping our children are like.
Okay, well maybe they'll be half that and half.
Yeah. And then I do remember on my Heelys, I broke some fingers.
I vaguely remember you saying this.
Yeah, so I was riding around the block on my Heelys, and they have small wheels on them. And
well, you should tell your audience what Heelys are. Not everybody knows.
Oh,
what
I
that is.
mean, yeah.
Honestly, if you don't know what Heelys are, come out from the rock that you're living under. But Heelys are tennis shoes with like little wheels built in to the heel. So you can literally roll around just leaning back on your heels and you're like skating around.
They were pretty sweet. We saw a pair recently at Ross, and if there was a pair in both of our sizes, we were going to buy them, but they were only in my size, so we didn't buy them. Anyway, yeah, so I was rolling around on my Heelys, and a rock got caught in it, and it just locked up, and I fell forward and bent some fingers back pretty far to where they were broken. And that was during a holiday as well, because we were having a party. We were having a party at the house. I remember coming in, asking for ice, and I put them on ice first, and then I came to you guys because I knew it was serious. You know, I know Dad thought that it was okay. I should just shake it off.
You like slap your hand?
He did give them a little hit too to test the pain test, and it I think that.
It did not pass the pain
No,
test.
no, I'm pretty sure I was in some pain at that point. But I do remember going to the hospital for that, and the x-rays were terrible because they had to spread your fingers out in order to x-ray them, and they were all broken, or like 4 of them were broken or whatever, so it's just, not fun.
So what did they...
So what did they do for that, Chris?
Tape them all together is the...
They just taped them.
Literally, that's
Okay.
all they do. So
Did they
like,
tape all 4 of them together and just like give you like a mitt of a hand?
yeah, you just
Right.
tape like...
Claw.
So I broke like my pinky, my ring finger, and my middle finger. So like they taped the middle to your pointer, and then the ring finger to those 2, and then like
The
that or
pinky.
whatever. Yeah, it was pretty much like you had a mitten on.
What hand was that, Chris?
I think it was my right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? As a reminder, and growing up with 4 brothers, my mom and dad had their incidences and accidents also, and a lot of stitches. One brother had a broken nose from another brother swinging a golf club and not realizing that his brother was right behind him. My mom taught me a very important lesson. She said, because after, I guess, the first 3 consecutive years that I had Chris in the hospital with the dog bite, the arm, and I think stitches to his chin, my mother said, I think I looked up at the sky and said, why me, God? And my mom taught me, she said, Tricia, as long as they can fix it, you're lucky. And I tried to remember that it was bones and stitches and not something more serious.
That is the one piece of advice that you told me like a month ago when we were sitting on the porch talking at your house that I took away from that conversation.
It's a good piece of advice, is as long as they can fix it. I know that's what, like, when we had, like, my mom would always watch, like, my little cousins and everything, and whenever they'd, like, spit up on, like, a blanket or, like, chew on something, and my cousin's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, this, that, and the other, and my mom's like, it's washable. It's fine. Like...
Right.
Like, you got to focus on what's more important. As long as it's fixable, it's washable, it can be replaced, it's okay.
And Mom, I wouldn't feel
And I
bad.
think-
Jamie's parents also had their fair share of injuries in their household.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Jamie just tears ligaments in her what is it? Your
My
knee
ankle.
or your ankle.
My
from
ankle just for
walking.
walking. Yeah. I was going to say, the thing is, before we called you, I went through all of my injuries.
Okay.
So don't fret.
All right.
She broke her arm in a minivan door.
Because I wanted to see how far, like, I was holding the handle and I was like, wanted to see how far back my hand would, like, go before, like, the door stopped. Well, the door didn't stop. But then I waited,
You know what?
like, when they
Yeah.
didn't take me to get x-rays for 3 days because after we iced it, I was like, okay, I feel fine. And
Right.
it was a couple days, and I went to pick up a big box of like newspapers to like take out to the recycling bin, and my arm just like flipped backwards, and my mom was like, "That's not supposed to happen."
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, that makes me feel a little better. I mean, talking about all this and rehashing this, but you know, with age comes wisdom, and you realize that you know things happen. Whether you're watching your children or you know you step away for a minute or so, things happen, and you know you know, when you were talking about your arm, Jamie, I'm just remembering something, just so that the audience doesn't feel it was just my youngest child. Our oldest child, he also, you know, had a few accidents, and you know, of course, he'd be jumping off picnic benches on his bike, and you know,
that was a good one because he hid it from you.
yeah, he sat at the computer, and I called him in for dinner, and I think he came home from biking, and he went up and took a shower, which I should have been my first hint, and then and then he sat down. He was at the computer, and I come in to tell him dinner's ready, and I see the trickling of the blood down the side of his face, which I guess he thought he was, you know, hiding it from me, and off to the hospital again for stitches. So, you know, it happens, and I try to remember what my mom taught me a long time ago, is that if they can fix it, you know, you're fortunate.
Yeah, well, even as an adult, I hurt myself. I mean, I, you know, cracked my head open and had to get staples in my head when I was like 21 and living in Manioc because I
Yes.
took
Yeah,
a
because you were being
Tell that
stupid.
story.
I decided to take a
Why-
shortcut, and I hopped the railing, but there was a steel beam above the railing, and I was totally sober, and I hit my head very
And you're
hard.
6 foot.
Yeah, and I'm 6 foot, so I hit my head really hard, and then I kept walking home. And I remember somebody asking me, "Are you okay?" Because they saw me do it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then as I was walking, I felt something like running over the front of my forehead, and I just wiped my forehead off, and it was just like my whole hand was full of blood. And then the what's it called when you're on?
Nausea or the dizziness or
Yeah, like I just like it wasn't because of the head injury. What is it called? Like when you get hurt, but like
you go into shock.
yeah, I was going in the shock, and I called Barry because I lived with him at the time, and I was like, "Hey man, like I just hit my head. I'm bleeding. I need you to come pick me up." And he was home, which was lucky, but he brought his drift car to come pick me up. Which like he had like 3 cars at the time that were totally easy to sit in, but the one with the roll cage and everything that you got to climb in. So I'm pretty sure I just like plopped in
Head
to
first.
head first into the car. He got me home, and then
I never heard that story. Oh,
well,
my
no,
God.
you were
lucky duck.
you got called though. Remember? Because we were
Oh,
washing
I
my
remember.
head
Okay.
out in the sink. Barry
Yeah.
was washing my head out in the sink, and he called you, and you were like, "Just go to the hospital."
That's right. Absolutely. And you know your brother. I mean, you know, I think you called me and said, "Mom, I need your advice. I hit my head." I'm like, "You go to the hospital immediately."
Yeah, well, we went to a crappy hospital though too, so like, I should have just went to like Penn or some better place around there.
Well, you had to make sure you didn't have a concussion. And then, of course, you needed stitches as well.
Staples.
So, oh, staples. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are we done? I mean, are we done with accidents?
I think
For
so.
now.
But I mean, that just makes me think that, man, like, you know, even though you saw so much trauma when we were kids, it means that you're just ready for the next round when you have grandkids.
No, that'll be entirely different.
Yeah, because she can sugar them up and send them home, and then she'll let them launch themselves off the banisters here. Because I'll be home.
I will not take my eye off. It's entirely different. There will be no running upstairs to put away the clothes in 5 minutes. No. That's a great responsibility. But things will happen, and, you have to come to grips with that no matter how much you love and take care of your children, that they do seem to get into mischief at times.
Yeah. Yeah, Mama and Papa have seen some things.
And they went through it too. I mean, I had 4 brothers, so we were all athletes, and I'm sure I missed Jamie's, but I will listen to the podcast. But when you have athletes, there's always injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. So we appreciate you picking up the phone and talking to us for a little while.
Yeah, thank you.
You were.
Yes. Thank you. What? Pardon me?
Oh, I was going to say you were the first person that we called in that actually you could hear clearly, because Barry was technically the first person, but he was in his truck at the time, and it was very hard to hear him.
Yes.
What were you asking Barry?
That was an episode where we were talking about wedding planning, and we were just reminiscing about our wedding a little bit.
I think that one comes out tomorrow. Maybe.
That one does come out tomorrow. Yes.
Well, I look forward to listening to it.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting for a bit. We're gonna take off and wrap this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Bye.
All right. Be careful. Bye.
I'm telling you, next time we should have my dad on here. We'll have to call my dad and see all the mischief he got into, because he was...
Yeah, that'll be for the next coffee talk.
Yeah, next coffee talk.
I had fun. I like the coffee talk.
I like the coffee talk, too. I like just not having a theme and just kind of rolling into it. Whatever we got.
When we have a topic, like, I feel like
Pressured?
pressure to get back to the topic when we go off on like a rant, or like not a rant, but like a side
Tangent.
Yeah, tangent. That's what I was looking for. But just being able to, like, we started this episode talking about what we were drinking to, what was the first topic that we started with?
Oh no.
See, I don't even know. Like, we just went so far. We started with sports. I think we were talking about sports.
We were talking about sports.
And then we got
were
to an
talking about
injury.
basketball and the most boring sport to watch.
Yeah, we got from there all the way to
baseball.
injuries.
Oops, I just
to
dropped my plate.
To then talking about injuries with my mom. See, everything, just flowed nicely.
It just works. So
I'm thinking we wrap this up so I can finish my coffee and relax a little bit this Sunday morning.
Sounds good. I forgot to take my allergy meds last night, so I'm starting to get like sniffly.
I heard you sniffing. Oh, really?
I'm sorry. Well, you said you heard me sniffling, so. But yeah, so alrighty, guys, we will wrap this up. If you have any recipes or cocktail recipes that you want to send us, or anything you want us to talk about, or any questions you want us to answer,
pretty much anything.
literally, if you just want to say hi and tell us how much you love us, we also accept those. We do not accept hate emails, so don't send them our way. Send them to some other podcast at gmail.com. But just you can send us an email at diariesofaworkingcouple@gmail.com, or slide into our DMs on Instagram at diariesofAworkingcouple.
It has been 3 recorded episodes, maybe 4, since we said that we were going to update our Instagram, and we have yet to update our Instagram with anything.
But also, to be fair, we did get new phones.
Yes, we've been transitioning to new phones.
I don't have any of that kind of stuff logged in on my new phone, so I
don't either.
So we gotta do some updating. But
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do that today. I don't know. TBD.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
It's been real.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.
See ya.